you channel mammals. Well, welcome to a new day. These are a special type of grape that we're growing here, and they're just all coming ripe at the same time. They're called Wisteria Grapes. They grow similarly to the way a wisteria grows. How many of you don't believe me? I just told you a joke. I just hung these grapes up here so that you would think they were growing. Because actually, earlier when we lived here, we did have grapes. And I thought, oh, I wish we still had grapes. And I thought, oh, I have some grapes, I'll just hang them up in the trees. But I couldn't just tell you a story the whole time. That just wouldn't be right. So, I think I can take you into the salon, the solarium, and the salon, or living room. Let's go. I wish we could just stay out here all day. We're here, and a lot of people kept on asking if we would show more about our designs. So I thought, well, since we're up here at this beautiful beginning, the heart and home and hearth of MacKenzie-Childs, since a lot of people still know MacKenzie-Childs, even though it's evolved and changed, of course, with new thoughts that comprise the structure of it and the idea. It's kind of fun to just feel the fragments of the original concepts and thoughts. So it's fun to share them with you because, you know, I think it's going to enrich your collections, the things that you love. Not all people who I'm speaking to even know what MacKenzie-Childs is, but some people do. And even if you don't, it doesn't matter, because it's something that happened and it has infiltrated throughout the world in some great ways, actually. It's appreciated our primitive cultures somehow and brought them into being an acceptable place of this mix of all people together. And it's kind of what all the designs are like. They're just beautiful layers of sort of something that's innate to all of us. We just are all able to think like this, I think, in this way of collecting things together and appreciating them in ways that aren't intellectually correct. Let's go see what we have here. Oh, this is really fun, right from the beginning. It's funny, it's like living in a ship. You have to step over the bulkhead to get in. That's because we moved this. Come in, my friends. We moved this. See, it's sitting on the beams of the house. Not this house. We moved this here. This section. And we moved it from another house that was being torn down. So it's another thing that we've done. We've saved something that would have been cast into the fires. No one would have ever known it. And yet, now, isn't it fun seeing the beams of the real house here and how they came to the end of the house? The house was just this big, the original house. This big, the size of the dining room where we were the other day. And that's as far as this house went. This and that. And it was only a square, a small square house. But all of this has kind of flown from that and evolved from it. And this part was from another old house. But this is what I like. Okay, I have to tell you, I have to actually step out of here and then step back in here in order to finish my story in here. I have to start my story in there. Are you following me? Come on, let's see. Another step up. It's all part of the fun. We actually had fun making it so that you have to step up and inside of different places. Okay, one year, early on, there was a huge storm, and the whole house was shaking. It was just terrible. And when we got up in the morning, guess what happened? The fireplace. You know how the outside of the chimney is built on the outside of the house, going all the way up the side of the house, of these early late Georgian houses? Early late Georgian. That's what, anyway, sounds like an oxymoron, but it's what they're called. And it ripped the chimney in the wind so strong. The way we knew that the wind was so strong was that the chimney was laid across the grass outside, and a big gust must have carried the bricks over our van that was parked right out there by my old studio, and then down again onto the dirt on the other side. Isn't that amazing? The storm went over our van. There wasn't a scratch on the van. It laid a path of bricks up to the van, lifted in the wind, and splatted down on the other side of the van. This was when before we had all those beautiful stones in the drive, and it was all very rough at that time. But it spared our van. I just loved that wind. And so this part of the house was basically ripped to shreds. And winter was coming on, and it was really a rough thing to have the house, just broken open here. But a new invention and idea came out of that. This fireplace we rebuilt. The inside we rebuilt with new fire brick, so that it was all new and nothing could ever cause a fire that way. And the whole chimney, we made a special flue going all the way up the side of the house, so it was protected and in up to, I guess you'd say a fire code. And then we used the inside bricks. We used these light-colored bricks. You see how they're kind of crude. They were never meant to be seen. They were never meant to be a finished idea. They were for the inside structure. And there were so many bricks inside that we were able to use those soft pastel colors of brick as the decorative outside of this fireplace, which was so much fun. It was like turning our fireplace inside out so that you could see the beauty of those crude early bricks. And okay, so there's our fireplace, and even the hearth of the fire we also built with those soft, old, beautiful fire bricks in there. And we actually, now our dear friends have made it into a wood stove, but it actually was a fireplace, not from a wood stove, but an actual fireplace when we had it, which I know in modern times we all know it's not the most functional thing to have a fireplace because it sucks all the warm air out of the house. So, but anyway, we still had it as a fireplace. So let me show you another part of the story. Come here. Now we go back out to the solarium. These were more of the bricks. And they were made on the property right next to this house, the property of this house, this farm. There's another farm right down there. It's got a big brick house. I'll show it to you maybe when we're driving by. It's beautiful. And do you know something special about that house? It was part of the Underground Railroad. You've heard of Harriet Tupman, maybe most American people have heard of Harriet Tubman. Well, she was I think she was a freed slave, or maybe she had been a runaway slave, and she started the Underground Railroad, which was basically a way of connections of people who agreed to hide the slaves as they came north in America. So they would go from one farm or one place to another, and they were waiting for them with nice cozy beds and good food to eat, so that at the end of their walk of that day, that would be through the forests and underneath things so that no one could see them, or maybe they'd be walking in the night, and then they would come to this farmhouse right next to our farmhouse, the next farm over. And the bricks were made for that farm and for this farm on the same land. And look, at the end of the day, people would stamp their initials into the bricks, and some of them, wait, let me see if I can find some, actually have numbers. Oh, here's another name scribbled into the brick. But wait, there's some with numbers that tell you how many bricks they made. Oh, here's a number. Look. Oh, shucks. Can you see it? It's 3, 2. Look at that beautiful 2. 2. Probably, I don't know if that's a 9 or a 1. Not sure. But that is with their fingers. Look. When they were, the brick was still wet, so that they knew how many bricks they had made at that time. Isn't that incredible? I don't know whether the brick maker, here's another one. They're all over. They're everywhere. Here's another. That's somebody's number also. It's not as clear as the other one. Oh, look, here's another number. Look. See, there's the 2, and I think it's a 0. I can't really see. I think that's a 0 too, but in the other part's underneath. But isn't this incredible? I just love this. And all these bricks were made right here on the land. There's a pocket door, which we always loved, and so here was an opportunity to build a pocket door. And then you step on a rock to come down here, and then onto these old paving stones. Aren't they beautiful? All these old paving stones were on right here underneath the barns, in the barns and in the sheds. These beautiful stones. So we made them into the floors here, and we found this rock, and we just put that here. And look at this old beam where it's just chiseled away here and chiseled here. I don't know why it's chiseled in that particular form, and then this loft, and look at this narrow little stairway. Obviously nobody goes up here anymore, but we used to have a cot up there, so friends could sleep up here, and they never did roll out of bed and fall on the floor. So it was quite successful. But it's kind of fun because you wake up in the morning to all these little windows in a row looking out to the birds, up as high as the birds you would be here in the trees. And then this was all of our library, and the whole wall was photographs of our family, which was quite fun because it was quite a strange family we had. So there was lots to look at. I'll put these, it looks like they haven't quite found a place to hang these yet. And then we built these cupboards. See? And these are, these cupboards, we had these old latches, and so we could stow things underneath there, and the shelf and the boards. These boards were part of this shed originally. This was the shed that was moved here from another house, and that was part of the house. Isn't it beautiful? I don't know. And look at this. This came out of our own sheds. This big board came out of our sheds that fell down in the storms. And we didn't throw anything away. We just appreciated everything. Okay, so now let's go into the living room. Oh no, I'll take you someplace else first. Come here. Ready? It's a lavatory. Now, I have a funny story to tell you. I have a few funny stories to tell you. Well, it's not that funny. This one's not very funny. We never could find wallpaper at this period of time. The wallpapers weren't, I don't know, they just weren't that lovely. At least that we could find around here. So we made our own wallpaper. And we always loved the fleur-de-lis. So we painted it all over these walls. Isn't that pretty? It's just so amazing that we made our own wallpaper. And this wall is how the side of this building was. We didn't build this way. This is the way it was structured. And then we put this window in, and then see, here's more of these hand-hewn beams. See how it was like, they were just chipped away with sharp axes. And then they pull it out and keep chipping away to hew these beams. And then there are pegs in them. This peg, see, would have held these two, this part of this board in, that would have formed another structure, of support. And back in here, it might make noise when I turn it on, but if you don't mind. Yeah, it makes noise, but look. I love this very structured green tile that we used in relation to these soft boards and these homemade wallpaper. But look, in the floor, we made pebbles, more of our pebbles, like in the baseboards of, the skirting boards of our dining room. Okay. Look at this beautiful toilet. It's all covered in birds and ivy and beautiful scroll work and a beautiful toilet seat and cover. Isn't it beautiful? Well, guess where we found it? We found it up in a tree. Can you see where we would have found a toilet in a tree? Okay, I have a feeling you're not going to figure this one out. Well, my younger brother, and his wife and her family had an island up in the Thousand Islands. It's part of the St. Lawrence Seaway. And it was called Rabbit Island. A lot of people know about Rabbit Island because it had a beautiful mansion on it and beautiful outbuildings, ice houses, and cabins all throughout this island. And we used to take this little fishing boat, just a little rowboat basically, out onto the St. Lawrence Seaway just for fun little bouts about, just bobbing about in the waters. And when we were there in the summer times, it was just a real old-fashioned summer holiday with our family together. And so one time we went scouting about and we came upon an island where, a little island that nobody lived on, where the house had disintegrated and all that was left were the pipes and the ceramic of the plumbing system. So there were pipes. You could tell the different floors of the house and the different rooms because you could follow the pipe structure, which didn't rot. And this toilet was up high on a second floor, but the floor was gone, and all that was left was the pipe and the toilet. Isn't that bizarre? So we climbed up in this tree and somehow wangled this thing down and got it into the boat. And we were several kids in a boat, and nothing according to anybody's rules. This is when nobody, at least in our family, nobody worried about anybody. Anyway, we were about this far from the water. This is the St. Lawrence Seaway. It's a fast-moving waterway. We were going along, just barely making it. The Coast Guard came swishing up next to us, worried about us, but because of the weight of the toilet, we were almost sinking the ship. Anyway, somehow they let us go, and we carried on our way back home, and this toilet ended up here in our house. Isn't that a funny story? Anyway, it was really great. And then here's something else, some other parts of things that we configured to become, a cupboard and drawers and everything. And then this door, as you can see, it's another example of how we used lots of different things together. Most people would never wallpaper a door, but we used wallpaper on the inner parts of this door and then painted, and we put gold leaf trim inside and made this broad, very big door with this very small room into a perfect idea for us here. Oh, here's a painting somebody painted of our house. Isn't that sweet? I can't remember who painted that. I bet you I could read the name, but I can't really see it in this light. But it's after, we owned it, and after we had done all this work on it. But look how little the trees are on either side of the doorways. So still, it was a long time ago. But it was after we had built all these parts on. This part right here is where we are right now. That extension out here extends outside beyond the little square house, this section. And this section is added on too, but that section is the part you see that looks different. Now I have one more thing that I need to tell you about this whole space here. Maybe some of you have already started to notice it.